If going home over the holidays is a struggle and a burden for you, if family freaks you out, triggers you, I'm going to give you some guidance on how to approach and embrace Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever holidays you're going home for, as a really beautiful opportunity to heal and empower yourself and learn to love yourself and your family a little bit better, a little bit more easily. It all starts with self-love. It all starts with realizing that you are the power of perspective. What do? We go into the holidays thinking, oh man, I got to deal with my sucky in-laws or my weird aunt or uncle or my parents piss me off or yada, yada, yada. We tend to approach from this disempowered victim mindset. And I speak from experience. I speak from my own reactivity and patterns and knowing that I can have that language. So, no blame, no shame here. But this is where we tend to start, from a place of, oh, it's your fault. It's them. I'm blaming them for what's happening, truly what's happening within me. It's our own reactivity, it's our own conditioning, it's our own fear and wounding that we are worried about getting triggered when we get home. So I want to start with that precondition of recognizing that this is an opportunity for you to shift your locus of control from it's them out there who are pissing me off to I'm letting myself get pissed off. When we approach with this, there's really a beautiful opportunity to cultivate self-love and a groundedness, a centeredness from which we can develop emotional resiliency. And there's nothing quite like a family gathering to trigger all of our history and our wounds and our patterns and our reactivity. I heard early on in my spiritual career, if you will, from a mindfulness teacher or retreat leader who said, there's nothing quite like, and Ram Dass says this too, there's nothing quite like a test of your spiritual practice than going home for your family, to see your family. And there's reason for that, because our primary caregivers, our parents, and the family that we are raised with, and the family gatherings that we grow up around are where we develop our primary wounds. So there's very good reason that when we return to the source of these wounds, that deep patterns within our history and within our wiring and our conditioning get triggered and pulled up. And thus lies the opportunity to go and face them as the new person that you are today, even compared to how you were last year. But certainly you are not the child that you were when, your uncle first said that thing that freaked you the fuck out at a Thanksgiving when you were 7, or your mom said that you weren't enough because she got upset about your grades on a certain report card. Whatever that initial trigger and wound was that you've buried deep inside your self-conscious, subconscious, and have come to believe about yourself and the world, you're not that same person. And so you get to show up with a new view, with a new perspective, and start to witness and watch yourself go through your patterns. And herein lies this beautiful opportunity as we go each year home for the holidays to show up as a new version of ourselves, to show up evolved and growing and healing, and to put ourselves to the fucking test. Okay, so the first thing that's most important here is self-love, creating boundaries and self-care. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe your family fucking shit. And even if you're an 18-year-old watching this and you're still financially dependent on your family, start breaking yourself out of that mold. If you're a 7-year-old and you're watching this video, which would be really fucking awesome if you are, I don't want to say that you owe your family anything, but they're taking care of you, so tread lightly. But as we're growing into adults, even if there aren't entanglements emotionally, financially with our family, we need to start to break ourselves free from that. And a lot of us get really stuck. I know I've gotten stuck in the I owe you something. I'm still attached to you and I'm still trying to get something from you. So I need to oblige to your standards and your structure. And this really will shoot you in the foot and is the first offer that I offer you as and invite you into a new paradigm of recognizing that if you show up and just go along with the program, you are most likely going to be denying yourself what you need to be able to show up fully and to be able to show up to this process with personal power and with love. So Release yourself from the expectation that you need to be doing everything that the family is doing. Because that program might be too much for you. It might be too much for you to be with family all day long and exhausting to your system such that you are predisposed to reactivity, predisposed to your wounding, predisposed to getting triggered. And so the first invitation here is to create as much time and space as you need for yourself to take care of yourself. I learned over the years that if I go home and just settle into Thanksgiving mode where I'm just laying on the fucking couch and just gorging myself with food and on holiday vacation mode, man, I'm just sapped into old patterns. There's no room for me to show up differently. But over the years, I've gotten really good at creating time and space for myself to exercise and meditate and journal and carry with me home the practices that have come to serve me in my daily life. Bring those home with you. Bring those to the family gathering, because if you lose, when you throw those out the window, all of the work that you've done to evolve and grow and heal over the years, it's not going to come with you. You're just going to get triggered back into old patterns. So really creating the time and the space to take good care of yourself, to nourish yourself in ways that feel really good for you. And maybe you have a really good connection with certain family members that don't trigger you, that is nourishing. And so that can be a part of, connection can absolutely be a part of this. But for me, and what I would encourage you to do, is really make sure you're carving out time for yourself, setting boundaries. And you can say this in a really loving way. You don't have to be like, fuck off, mom, like I'm not going on the hike with the family because I don't want to and you guys all suck. Like that's reactivity, victim mode. You can show up empowered and loving and respectful and say, hey, I really need this time and space for myself. And you can say it in a way, and this is a really brilliant and beautiful relational skill of like, hey, I'm taking this time and space for me right now so that I can show up with quality attention for you at the dinner table. And there's truth in this. Again, when we show up depleted because we're deferring to whatever the programming schedule is, which may or may not work for us, and maybe there's expectations from our family of like, you should show up for this and that and yada, yada, yada. We're gonna show up with low battery, and we are going to defer to our wounding and our patterning. And we're not going to be able to show up consciously in the way that I'm inviting you to. So really committing to that for yourself, but also recognize that you're committing to that for your people. And you can say that if there is pushback of like, no, please come to this thing, or like, oh, I really want you. It's like, okay, check in with yourself. Like, are you really able to show up to that 100%? Or are you going to get triggered and reactive? Because I know in the past, like overdoing it, yeah, it's great to be there, but if my attention and energy is zapped and I'm reactive and causing more distress to the container for everybody, is it worth it? Wouldn't it be better to have quality over quantity? This is a really important thing that I want you to take away from this video: quality time over quantity time. And I think I know in my experience, when I go home, let's say for 5 days, my programming had me spend every fucking moment with people that I could. And it was quantity, but the quality wasn't good. So think about, how can I create quality time, quality attention? How can I show up energized and really in the best place that I can be for my people, for myself? And that starts with you. That starts with self-love. That starts with honoring yourself. That starts with a boundary. And again, from a fuck y'all kind of space of like, you don't know nobody shit, and give yourself permission to know that. And then that creates the space for the like, yes, and also as I take care of myself, you're really taking care of your people. You're able to show up better for your family. So do what you need to do to take care of yourself, honor and give yourself permission to do that as much as you need, and start to notice when you get depleted and maybe pull back and create some space. Or call a loved one or a friend who's outside of this family gathering that may be supportive and nourishing to you. Connect with your coach, with your therapist. Watch some inspiring shit like this to help you reconnect with yourself and nourish the version of yourself that you've been growing into and are really wanting to maintain as you show up to, again, this new test and opportunity, lest we get pulled back into old ways of being. Of course, it's okay. You're going to get pulled back in old ways. You're going to get triggered. You're going to say some stupid ass shit that you don't want to say because your weird ass in-law, uncle, I don't even know if that makes sense. I don't understand family trees. says some bizarre ass opinion about politics. You're like, oh, fuck you, Uncle Jeffy. And then you're gonna be like, oh man, why did I do that? It's okay. Grace and forgiveness are absolutely essential in all of this because we're gonna fuck up, we're gonna get triggered. It's a journey, you're growing. You have deep, deep patternings the same way that all of the family members involved here do. But the difference is that you're showing up consciously, you're showing up intentionally, and hopefully maybe some of your family members do have this intention or this consciousness as well, and that'd be fucking awesome. But I know with my family, they don't really have that. And I would love that. I spent a lot of time trying to control or make other people do differently than the way they are, but that's still that blame, victim, disempowering narrative. You are responsible. You have the responsibility. You have the power. It's all in the power of your perspective. Excuse me, I'm sick. Swallows, boogers. Should I cut this out? I'm not going to cut this out. So be really gentle with yourself. Be really kind to yourself and forgiving for the mistakes that you make, and begin again. Start again. If you get overwhelmed and shit hits the fan and you need to back up and journal and walk or exercise, call a friend, call me, comment on this YouTube, be like, help me, what do I do? Maybe other people will have some ideas. Do that for yourself. Give yourself permission to give you what you need. It all starts with self-love. And then continue to elaborate on this point and perspective that it's all happening within you. Like, we go in thinking that it's them doing this to me, but no, you are responsible. You get to be responsible for your emotional experience. And this is the only way that you will get to be free from all the things that you think that they are doing to you. The only way that you will be able to show up someday, or maybe even today, to your holiday gathering, free, alive, giving zero fucks, just having fun, letting everybody rip their political views, yada, 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 and just like, all right, cool, I'm Gucci. I'm enjoying this turkey leg. I'm enjoying this tofu, whatever the fuck you're nomming on, without a worry in the world, is if you take radical responsibility. You get to take radical responsibility and realize that it's all in your fucking head. All of it's a projection. You're in the matrix. Congratulations. You don't need to jack out of the matrix. You just need to realize that you're in the matrix and play competently, skillfully in the matrix. And it's a practice that I'm inviting you into. So realize that whoever triggers you most is a bundle of neurons and neural pathways that for years and years and years have been firing and wiring along the same neural pathways, and that they don't know any better. And if you're trying to change anybody or trying to get them to have a different opinion and they're not doing it, guess who you're hurting? Yourself. And also them, honestly. The more that you try to change other people, and I know a lot of us get stuck in this pattern, I know that I have and I can, the more that you suffer as a result from unmet expectations and the inevitable sense of having zero power to influence the world around you, because you can't change someone who doesn't want to change. You cannot teach an old dog new tricks who don't want to learn new tricks. Old dogs can learn new tricks for fucking sure. It's a little bit harder than new dogs. We're not quite as neuroplastic, but they are. We always are changing and capable of, but it requires intention and choice. And when we go in thinking that it's all them out there doing this to me and making me feel angry and making me feel sad or making me feel not good enough about myself, we're missing the point. We're missing the point. And the more that we fight them being them, the more that we suffer from our own self-infliction. I don't know if infliction is a word, but it is now. You know what I mean? We inflict the suffering upon ourselves by trying to change that which we cannot change. So who do we change? We change ourselves. We show up with the perspective of recognizing, and I hope this helps you, oh my God, this is just a big baby. Literally, we're all babies, just walking around, or like some sort of inner child subconsciously acting like fucking kids who are hurt at some point. And there's a tenderness in that. If you can realize and recognize this family member in front of me who's spewing out racist bullshit, they're not doing it to hurt anybody. They're doing it to protect themselves based on their wiring and their wounding and their conditioning. And the more that you let it be at the expense of yourself, the more that it's going to be at the expense of yourself. So if you can notice and recognize that the people in front of you and surrounding you are just acting out their own fucking matrix conditioning, and that you have the power to hone the perspective of recognizing that it's out of your control, and what is in your control is how you choose to view them and accept them, damn, you can have so much more peace and ease. It doesn't mean that you won't get triggered, especially things that are deeply emotionally embedded in you. You're going to get triggered. And this is why the self-care and the boundaries are essential, because we want to back up and create space. We want to slow down and pause. If we're just going along for the ride of the programming, we're sucked in to the ecosystem and entanglement of the family gathering. So creating space for yourself, creating a self-connection, or carrying with you whatever self-connection and self-love practices that you have established, making sure you're bringing those with you so that when you show up to those moments where someone says some whack shit and it tends to trigger you, you can start to see yourself start to, you feel your body start to get tense, and you want to start saying whatever your reactivity incites you to say, and recognize that you're going down the same neural pathways that they're going down, and then we're off to the races. How do we slow down such that we don't get sucked into the race? We don't get sucked into the rat race, the Thanksgiving, the Christmas, the Hanukkah rat race, the rat racism, where everybody's spew it. And, look, I understand some people say and believe some stupid ass shit that is just not like even remotely ethical or kind, and that's even more difficult to deal with. And the antidote to that is this compassion that I'm speaking to, is the understanding that it's not personal. Another really, really important thing to take away is it's not personal. It's not personal. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about them. Start to discern what is within your control and influence, and what's simply just people going through the same motions that they've been going through for ages. And choose for yourself to break out of those motions and to create new ones. The gift here, the opportunity here is freedom, is peace, is ease, is love, is acceptance. And first and foremost as a gift for yourself, so that you don't have to go through this as a burden, but as an opportunity, and you can come home feeling more restored rather than depleted. I mean, isn't that the worst, that we, feel obliged to go to family gatherings and we feel depleted on the other side? What a shitty expectation to have of ourselves. And so I know a lot of you want to go, and there's part of you, within and underneath these blocks to love is the love of damn, I want to be close with my family. I want to feel nourished by this. I want to enjoy my holiday gathering. And there's so much of this ache and wounding and reactivity that can get kicked over it, that just makes it feel like a burden. And so the opportunity here is to start to dissipate and dissolve and heal this wounding, and find the love within yourself, so that you can show up from that place of wow, it feels really nourishing and connecting to be around family, and I can get to know and love these people for the sparks about them that are lovable, rather than staying focused on and fixated in and triggered by the things about them that I'm really not accepting. And finding out where within ourselves we're not accepting ourselves, we're not loving ourselves. This all comes back to self-love. Showing up for others is all about showing up for ourselves. If we're blind to what we need and how unsatiated and hurt we are, we just project that into the outside world. And that's what your family members are doing, sadly. And they need healing. They need love. You can't change them. You cannot therapize them. As a coach, I've tried to do a lot of therapizing of people that I really love and wanted to help, and also wanted to change for my own reasons. And you just create more pain for yourself and for them by trying to do that. So the best thing that you can do for yourself and for your family is to back the fuck up, take care of yourself, be you, lead by example, lead energetically with self-love. And even if it's not clearly and explicitly received, your family just might be feeling that on a subconscious level. And it can be really healing for them too. So there's a lot of bang for your buck in showing up for yourself, not owing anybody anything but yourself. And as you do that, then you can actually come from a place of generosity rather than obligation of I should, I must, I'm supposed to go to this family gathering. No, all you need and get to do is take care of you. And when you do that, naturally your cup will fill and you'll be able to show up for your people with more ease. That's what they need more than anything. So prioritize self-care, boundaries, giving yourself what you need, bringing with you all of the great practices that you cultivate that create self-love and self-connection. Ooh, there's a vacuum in the other room, so we're gonna have to wrap this up. I don't know if you can hear that. Sorry about the vacuum. People vacuum, it's okay. I can get triggered and be like, fuck this guy, fuck my weird neighbor. My neighbor's not weird, I love my weird neighbor. Sorry if you guys are watching this. Then I just pause. Create some space for myself, for you. Anywho, I'm gonna digress. I digress to progress. Secondly, remember that you are the view. It's your perspective, it's your projection of how you're seeing other people and how you're letting them rule your inner world. So coming back into this place of, wow, actually I get to run the fucking show. I'm running the matrix that I'm perceiving right now. And I'm either letting it run me through my reactivity and my patterns, or I'm creating enough space from which I can choose differently. And recognize the benefits and the value of that. Third, grace, just giving yourself so much fucking grace and forgiveness. Because you'll get triggered and it's okay. You may say some dumbass shit. It's okay. Back up, collect yourself, apologize if you need to, and proceed. Communicate. If you need to communicate some of these boundaries to, pushy family members, do so in the way that I described to you, which is like, hey, this is for me and it's for you. And put your fucking foot down, If your family members are pushy, remember, resentment is what kills relationships. So if you go in and you don't want to, and you oblige to more of the programming on the schedule than you really truly want to and can show up for, you're gonna, now I'm getting pissed off. I'm getting triggered because of this vacuum cleaner. I am a victim to vacuum cleaners everywhere. If you show up with resentment, that plays out. People feel that. So communicate that to your family members. Say, hey, I'm taking care of myself so that I can show up with quality attention and love for us. And put your foot down if you need to. Really stand up for yourself, which I know can be difficult for a lot of us. This is super, super, super important. And finally, if you can see everybody around you at the dinner table as a big old baby doing the same baby things that they've been doing since they were a little baby, or a little kid who was hurt in one way or another, and everybody's hurt. There's compassion in that. There's ease in that. We don't have to take things as personally. And you're that too. And the good news is that by listening to this and showing up this way, you have the opportunity to grow up and to heal that part of you. And I really wish that for you. I hope that this holiday season supports you in that evolution and in that healing, and that you feel a little bit more at ease, a little bit more at peace going in this year, and a little bit more empowered coming home this year. If you dig this kind of personally empowering, self-loving content, please subscribe to my channel. I got more where that came from. I love you so much. Have a beautiful now. Enjoy your turkey legs. Oh, and if you gorge yourself too much and you physiologically deplete your energy because you're in digestion, you're gonna be more triggerable. So don't eat as much. That's part of our conditioning too, of like, blah, 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 blah. But pace yourself, and you'll be at more peace. Okay, peace and love.